Alaikum. Ciao, konnichiwa. Good morning. Bonjour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? It's budget day. Big day in anticipation. We'll be looking carefully at three things for you, and we will do another live broadcast today post the budget announcements. If you're not sure what time it is, it starts around 12:30, just half past midday. And we'll be looking very carefully at what he says regarding the stamp duty holiday. We're very anxious to know what the extension means. We hear it's been widely trailed that there's an extension till June. Is that an extension question for existing sales only? And how would you prove substantial performance if that's the case? What we're hoping is that it's just a straight extension until the end of June. And certainly the market has been much more buoyant since we've had this announcement trailed. So hopefully that will be until June. Although, does it just move an inevitable deadline that could end up in a bubble? Well, yeah, it does a little bit, doesn't it? But we'll see what he says on that. Be interesting to see. Hopefully it'll be extended till June. Apart from that, capital gains tax, we'll be watching this quite carefully. This is something particularly important to buy-to-let investors. At the moment, you have the two rates at 18 and 28%. It's been widely trailed that there might be some sort of parity with income tax rates, which is a bit scary when you think they go as far as 45%. So we'll see what happens there. I have a feeling, my gut feeling is that this will be a budget for good news and there won't be much bad in it. I'm not saying that there won't be bad news all around eventually. I think ultimately someone's got to pay for the pandemic, and that's going to be you and I in some shape or form. The only question is when and how. We understand also there's a second budget coming later in March, and I wonder whether some more bad news might be slipped into that one as well. But we're looking at the three things. First-time buyer mortgages, we're really excited to hear about that, how that scheme will work. It's been widely trailed that there'll be a first-time buyer scheme allowing first-time buyers to borrow up to 95% in the same way as Help to Buyers help people in the new build market, but for the second-hand market too. And this is something that we've been talking about, if you're a regular viewer, for many months, if not years, because we felt that it's vastly unfair. The first-time buyers aren't able to take advantage of a scheme which is designed to help them. And in fact, what it's meant in the past is that the big developers with the brand new properties can charge premium prices to the very people that can least afford it. If you do it to the wider market, then that's spread across a much broader base. And we think that will really help the market, because at the moment, the houses are flying. We're finding that anything at $500,000 plus is flying out the door, and flats are struggling. And we expect that to change significantly when people can afford to actually borrow. And you bring in 95% mortgages, and that is a huge sea change to the marketplace. So we're excited to see what happens there. General news today. So you can expect another broadcast from us later on this afternoon once we hear more about it. And that's probably going to come around, I imagine we got a meeting around 2 o'clock. So probably around 3 o'clock, something like that. We'll be on with the second broadcast to break it down for you and tell you what we think it means for the wider market. London affordable housing plans cut. This is interesting. The number of affordable homes built under the programme is set to be cut by 2/3. Sadiq Khan has announced. About 35,000 homes are planned by 2026 using $4 billion of government funding. The average cost for home, which 116,000 homes were constructed, was 41,000. The Greater London Authority Conservative Group has accused the mayor of failing Londoners. Well, certainly, there's lots of talk about home building in the city, and we've never met government targets. Government have never met any targets when it comes to house building. And this is why we have this constant problem with house price inflation, particularly around London and centres. But of course, now more than ever, there are some changing dynamics with people deciding that they no longer want to live in London. They want to live in other parts because of the Zoom generation now. With the pandemic, many people are commuting from home and will continue to do so post-pandemic and when this vaccine kicks in. And I think we can be very proud of our vaccine program. It's certainly amongst the best in the world, if not the best in the world. Not that I've had my jab yet, but hopefully it's coming soon, and very much looking forward to feeling that a little bit more protected, and I'm sure you are too. So, yeah, really pleased with that and how the vaccine rollout's coming. And if we have first-time buyer incentives, extension of the stamp duty deadline, the vaccine rollout coming thick and fast, and the release from lockdown, all those things should make for a really buoyant year for the housing market. It's one of the few markets which has done well over the lockdown, mostly, of course, because of the stamp duty incentive. And if you include that stamp duty incentive up until June, you include the most important part of the year for housing. That is the spring time. That's when most people decide to move home. And this year will be no exception, especially if we have these added incentives coming in. So really excited to hear about the budget today. Hope you are too. We'll be back later on today with another show, just breaking down for you what we think the significant points for property were to come out of that. So hope you're all well today and having a great day. We'll see you a little bit later on today when we've digested and worked out what it means for you, the house buyers and sellers of the UK. So many thanks for watching. Stay safe and well. We'll be back later on today.